Yo, I'm back. That was just a really quick break, I guess, before I wanted to stream some more. I want to show you guys really quick some ideas I had about how React Table works itself. React Table uses an internal plugin system based on hooks. That's actually pretty cool, and I wanted to show you what that is like. So, let me turn down my music a little bit here. So, building a custom hook is really powerful in React. So, like we can build our own custom hook called like use count or something, and we'll like take in some props here, or like some options, and off those options we'll take initial count, those options. We're going to return the count and set count. But first we need to do React use state. The initial count can be right here. Const count, set count. Okay, so we have this like use count hook now that we could use in our app. So if we say const count set count equals use count, we will default initial count to 0. Now we can show a button, show the count, and when we click on it, we're going to set the count to old. In fact, instead of set count, we're going to like do just increment. Let's have it do increment because we don't want to expose our state to the user. So we're going to do increment. We're going to make a new increment function here, and we're going to memoize it. So use callback. It's going to set count. It's going to take the old one and add one to it. Okay. So use callback, and we'll put that in there. Set count's the only thing we're using inside it, so it should work just fine. We have this increment function now. Let's see, const initial count equals options. Property options. There we go. Okay, so we click on this button and it increments, right? So let's say I ship this component to you and you can use it, right? Oh, use count. So you import use count from from some repo or library that I ship, and you want to extend it. You want to do something special with it, right? Well, of course, if it was this simple, you could just take these properties and put them into your own hook and compose your own custom hook that uses mine. But sometimes it's not that simple. Sometimes you want to create an interface that's easy to use to extend very complex APIs that you've built. Like React Table, for instance, is a hook that I built where it would be very difficult to take the core hook and extend it using your own code. Let alone, what if you wanted to build your own extension and ship it to somebody else for them to use? You'd start getting into this higher order hook thing that kind of looks funny. Like say we wanted to add like a method to this that would double it, right? What we could do is add a function that says like use our count, right? And function use our count. It's also going to take some options, and inside of here we'll just move the use count inside of here. We're going to return count and increment, but we're also going to add an increment double, const increment double, and we'll kind of make our own. We'll make our own little version of this where it's going to basically increment twice. Like, that seems kind of weird. But that's okay. I get it. So use our count. Now we can use our count right here. And instead of incrementing once, we can increment twice. Let's see, increment double. We'll get that from our special hook version. Okay, so this is 1 and this is 2. So we extended this count with our own version of our function. But what if we wanted to ship this? Like, oh hey, what if I wanted to ship a plugin called like use double, like the double count, or it'd be like increment double plugin. How would I take that and say, hey, I've built this plugin that's that's for this hook right here. It's kind of hard because then they have to use your actual version of the hook that then uses use count. What if they wanted to extend it to? See how it could start getting into like this higher order hook problem. And I suggest that there is an easier way to do this. So one way that I want to show you guys that I'm doing this, and this is what I do with React Table, is that say we want to turn our user count into a like a plugin. So we're just going to call it like we're going to call it increment double plugin. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to call user count. We're going to call it with no options, and then we're going to call it with this array called increment double plugin right here. And that means up here in our normal hook, we're going to be receiving an array of plugins. And then what we can do is loop through those plugins and let them extend the functionality of what we're doing inside here. So this is kind of a very crude example, but what we could do is we could say const resolved set count is going to be this function that takes, let's see, we're going to use React, use callback, and it's going to take an updater, just like the normal set state does. And what we're going to do is we're going to call set count old. Then we're going to get the new set count, called it new count equals updater, new count. And this could actually be updater, type of updater equals function. We'll call it, otherwise it's just updater is the value. And then what we can do here is we could say plugins, we'll do plugins for each, let's see, for each, so then we have the individual plugin, and then we can call like the plugin dot, we'll call it plugin dot set count. I'm just going to kind of reduce this. So like we're going to say the new count equals plugin set count, and we're going to give it the new count. Then we're going to finally return new count. We're going to want to add that. Let's see. Plugins. Plugins doesn't necessarily need to be part of our dependency array. So what we can do is we can just say const plugins ref equals react use ref plugins ref dot current equals plugins. So then right here, this will be plugins ref dot current. Now we don't have to worry about that. So we're just going to do this. We're going to set that to an underscore so that we can just call this set count. Now we're passing that down through. This is set count. So now we have this increment, right, thing that we have an interface now where we can, one of our plugins could set, let's see, current plugin for each. We'll do this. We'll say if the plugin has set count, then we'll run it. Now, when we use our use count, let's see, this needs to be right here. Now we don't even need an increment double. Oh wait, we do need that up there. So now this increment double, increment double plugin isn't getting anything per se. Increment double plugin can just be like an array, or sorry, an object. So const increment double and then we can use our plugin interface that we built up here. So we can say, oh, the set count plugin hook, right? It's going to give us an old. We're going to return, old times 2. And then we're going to take our increment double plugin, and let's see, what's the error we're getting here? How are user count? Well, let's just use count now. So we added this plugin to our use count that says, you know what, I want you to double increment, basically. And that plugin exposes just an object. We've created our own API here that says we're going to loop over the plugins, and if the plugin has a set count function, then we're going to run it here. The other cool thing that we could do is we could actually allow a plugin to use a hook. So what we could do is say, we could say plugins ref current right here. Plugins ref current for each if plugin. So we wanted to allow our plugins to actually memoize and do things with the state. So we could say instance equals this, right? And so return instance. And then we could even do a reduce here. So we could say plugin previous value. And we'll just call this one main. So if plugin has a main, or we'll call it use main, or use instance. If the plugin has use instance, then what we're going to do is we'll say the instance equals instance let instance. We're going to reassign instance from whatever's coming out of the use main, or sorry, the use instance. So we'll return previous value, and then we'll send in the instance as the first value to get reduced. So the instance goes in, it goes through each plugin, And if there's a use instance plugin, then it'll run it through that and return it. Otherwise, it's just going to return the previous value. So now, our increment double plugin could also use main, right? And now this is a hook that gets the instance, and we could do some cool things with it. We could say instance dot double value equals React use memo. And we could do the instance dot count times 2, and we only want to compute that when instance count changes. So now if you look at the instance right here, in fact I'll do this. Let's console log out the instance. Set count, use main, oh. Instance equals count increment use instance return previous value. Let's log out the previous value here just to make sure we're sending through the right thing. Set count use main increment double plugin. Let's see. Use main. Oh, use instance. Instance. Increment double plugin. Console log instance. Plugins current reduce plugin. Use instance previous value. What are we getting here? Console log instance. Not getting anything there. Let's just remove our logic here for a second. So the object we're getting is count and increment. Let's console log our plugins ref current. We have one plugin. It's got set count and use instance. So plugins ref current. So each plugin and then plugin use instance. Previous value. Let's just remove this and see what we get. Oh, guys, this is the previous value. This is the plugin. Forgetting my reduce logic here. Okay, so what we did is we extended the entire instance right here. We said, you know, we're going to let people use the entire instance, which would actually be a pretty easy way to do basically anything you want. And then we have this double value, which only gets recalculated when the count changes. And then we return the instance itself again. So now if we double this to 2, our double value now says it's 4. So I know this is a really crude example of how you can build plugin systems, but this concept of being able to build, like to pass your own functions to pass more functions to a hook that the hook can then utilize. Like you can pass hooks to hooks and let them orchestrate how to use them. So now if we wanted to take our increment double plugin and ship it around to people, all we'd have to do is say, hey, when you're using use count, just add the increment double plugin to your plugin list right here. And then increment double plugin does some cool stuff. It will instead of incrementing just once, it will double everything that you add right here, and it will give you a preview of what the next double value is. So right here we could say next double value is double value, which we're now getting from this instance right here. Pretty neat. So it's a quick a quick little idea that I wanted to show you guys. This is essentially how React Table is built. If you look at React Table, at React Tables API, there's a main hook called useTable that you pass your configuration object to, and then you pass all these hooks to it. And those hooks extend the functionality of the table, which is really cool. So by just adding one of those hooks, like use sort by, you get row sorting and multi-sort and all these cool prop getters that you can use. And all it's doing is this exact pattern that I just showed you right here. So if you guys want to build your own plugin system for your hooks, you can see how it's pretty easy to do that. It's just reducing and looping over some plugins and calling the methods that they expose. So hope this was educational. I got ahead. Thanks again for watching. See you guys.